Boom, Severance by Ling. I stumbled on this book by accident. I was walking through a mall and they had one of those public exchange little library houses. You can open it up and grab a book and hopefully put another book in and replace it. I just grabbed the book. I don't know what it was, if it was the color, the cover. I judged the book by its cover. I literally was like, there's just something about in the title. I was like Severance, and it was also something about the fact that it was, an Asian author. I find that I'm reading so many American authors or authors of a certain cultural background. I was like, let me see what Ling Ma is talking about. And then when I read the back of it, and it's basically, if you haven't read this book, it's funny, it's witty, and it's poignant. It's about the Shang fever, which is basically COVID, but this was written before COVID. This came out like, I think 3 or 4 years before COVID happened. So it's crazy and it's relevant because our protagonist, Candace, lives in New York City. Shang fever has just broken out and she's trying to figure out how to survive it, how to live. And the story is told with two time jumps. One is present day; she's going through the Shang fever, and then the second story is leading up to the moment where she discovers Shang. So she's telling both stories simultaneously, which I hate time jumps. I want a linear story. However, the way Ling Ma does it, you never feel like, oh, where am I? I never felt lost. It was always very clear from that first sentence or paragraph where we were in time. Also, it helped that she did it typically every other chapter. So you started to learn the rhythm of it. And I think towards the end, it became more about just the present day. The other thing Ling Ma does, which I didn't even notice until I was a fourth or fifth of the way through the book, when she's quoting someone or doing dialogue, no quotes. There's no, uh, uh, quote. I was going to say parentheses. No, those are parentheses. There are no quotation marks. So at no point when someone is talking is there a delineation of quotation marks to let you know someone else is talking or there's dialogue. However, she will give the dialogue and then say said by blah blah blah. Beautiful way to do it. There was just something fluid and natural about it that I was like, wow, do I not need to use quotation marks when I'm citing somebody? Because I also like to write short stories. The way she did it, phenomenal. I know that there's another author who also experimented with it. She's not the first to do it. But I was like, if you were in school, you would lose points. You would get a C or a F or whatever. And here, this New York Times book review, notable book of the year, no quotation marks. So that just means we can break. There are no rules in nothing in your relationships, in your work. Break all. Do what feels like you. Serve the story. It works in here. Now that, I haven't read anything else that Ling Ma has done, and I don't know if she's written anything else. So I don't know if that's something that she always does, or she just felt like that served the story. But it worked for your boy Leo Flowers. And when I hear other people talk about it, they go, they didn't even notice it either until a fifth of the way through. So I thought that was a cool thing. Um, so this story is, it's titled Severance for a number of reasons. And to me, it seemed like there were so many points in the story where she had to sever her ties. She had to sever her ties with her cell phone, with her family, with her friends, with her boyfriend, with her career. It was just a series of amputations, cuts, um, not even dislocations, because you could dislocate something and still have it be attached, but just hard, just done. And that's so hard for most of us to do. However, when we are able to do it, it allows us to move forward faster. Like if you ever broke up with somebody and instead of just severing the tie, you still call them, you check in on them, you're still seeing them, you're still hooking up on the side, you haven't quite severed that tie. And why that's important to the story is there's a belief that the Shang fever, right, which is their version of COVID, is triggered by nostalgia, triggered by going back to things, going back to your old house, going back to an old routine. Anytime you go back or revisit a place or a thing, it can trigger the Shank fever, which sounds ridiculous, but the way it is in the book and the way they present it, it feels plausible. For instance, this idea of a cell phone, how she had to sever her ties with her cell phone. Actually, she was kind of forced to do it because it broke. And so it was unusable at that moment. But they were talking about how, because of our cell phones, we're able to capture so many moments and then it's out there forever, especially when you put it out there in social media. And so you're never ever able to sever the ties with your history. Facebook is constantly reminding us of what we used to do, who we used to be with, how we used to be, things we've done. That we're trying to forget that. We're trying to move past that. But every now and again, it's like, hey, here's a memory you didn't ask for. And then also with the cell phone, there's just so many ways for people to contact you, either through your DMs or your text messages or whatnot. I just found a friend from my childhood that I've been trying to reach out to. And, it's like I need to let that go. They're just things from our past that, when I read, like I just read Cold Mountain, and I'm just jealous that, if when they left someone behind, it was just done. And there wasn't this, I need to text them and see how, or this worry that they might pop up later. It's like, nah, it's like when things were severed, they were done. And so you really have to figure out how to move forward and get on with your life. Where it seems like so much that we have now is in reliving our lives with these online journals, the vlogs, the videos, the podcast, and the going. It's like I remember when I was a kid, you could watch a movie and that was it. Now I watch a movie, then I read the review and I listen to a podcast and then I watch a YouTube video. I'm constantly finding ways to revisit this thing that I watched instead of moving on to the next thing. So Severance is a book that I'd recommend because it's funny, it's an easy read, and it's poignant. There's this part where they're trying to survive Shang fever and they're doing some things and they talk about how work is essential for sanity. They get to this place, they call it the facility, and they could just easily kick back and do nothing, right? There's plenty of food and things to entertain them. But the leader of the group, who helps them make it out, recognizes that the group needs to have a purpose and a mission, a routine every single day. People need things to do to keep them sane, or else your days start to run together and you start losing track of time. Then you start going insane because you feel like you're in the same loop over and over again, which, may not trigger Shang fever, but that's just not good for brain health and fostering a healthy society. Especially, so many people have died, and if you're trying to rebuild a society, if people aren't working, if they're lazy, or if they just having too much fun and have no structure, no form, then what kind of society are you going to build? Then now you're just creating more chaos. You're creating another problem. So it's a great reminder of how important just getting up and having a routine and doing things and having a mission is for our sanity. One, two, this idea of like it's nice to revisit and look back at the past. So I definitely wouldn't encourage anybody not to look at old photos and all those things. But there's a time and a place for that. And there's a time to put those things in a box up in the attic and get going with your life. And unfortunately, there are no more boxes. We can't put our photos in a box, put them in an attic, and then pull them out once a year or every 5 years. Now they're always in our phone, always reminding us and keeping us in that holding pattern. And so, we have to find a way to sever our ties from the past so that we can move forward, lest we be stuck in this shame fever. That's my report of Severance. Check it out. I really loved it. It's so funny. It's a light read. It's a beach read. It's a summer read. I would hope so. It's a pink cover. Like, subscribe. Your boy Leo Flowers. I also do stand-up comedy. So stay tuned for dates and new clips from that. Peace.